an old man tightly cradles a bowl of dark wine. Beside him, a woman gestures softly, offering it like a cure, while another presses her bare, luminous flesh intimately into his thighs. They have trapped him in a triangle of warm skin and heavy gazes. It is an incredibly claustrophobic scene, dripping with raw, unapologetic eroticism. And then you realize the horrifying truth of what is actually happening. The man resting his heavy hand on this woman's shoulder is their own father. In 1616, Hendrick Goltzius painted Lot and his daughters, and he built a masterpiece entirely around a sickening, unspeakable taboo. While the sky rains fire and sulfur in the background, wiping an entire city from the face of the earth, these two women have retreated into a mountain cave, and they are intentionally intoxicating their father to orchestrate an incestuous encounter. And to understand how these women executed such a profound moral collapse, you have to look deep into the shadows of the canvas. Visually, the composition immediately locks you in. Goltzius arranges the three figures into a tight classical pyramid, a direct nod to his deep study of Michelangelo. They lounge on rich folds of crimson and bright blue drapery that spill across the weeds and dirt of the cave, terrifyingly serene and completely shielded from the apocalyptic nightmare outside. And what a nightmare it is. The horizon is bleeding fire. Sodom is being systematically erased from the earth. Goltzius paints actual liquid sulfur raining from the sky, choking the background in ash and ruin. And right beneath that smoke, overlooking the dead waters, stands the tiny, pale figure of Lot's wife, permanently frozen as a pillar of salt for daring to look back at the destruction. But what makes this masterpiece so unnerving is how it plays with our morality. In the biblical account, these daughters act out of absolute desperation. Believing they are the last people on earth, they orchestrate this taboo strictly to preserve the human race. Yet, Goltzius strips away their grief and trauma entirely. He uses their desperate survival story as a loophole to paint a scene of intense, unapologetic eroticism. The mother is dead, the world is ending, but in this cave, survival looks dangerously close to sin. To execute a taboo of this magnitude, the daughters have divided the labor perfectly. Look at the blonde one to his right. She is the orchestrator. Notice how her right hand firmly anchors the jug of wine, while her left hand gestures with an open, inviting elegance. Her body is fully exposed to us, yet her expression remains terrifyingly composed and innocent. She watches her father with a heavy-lidded, intensely seductive gaze. She is managing the intoxication. The daughter on his left, however, is the physical snare. With her back turned to the viewer, she serves as a heavy, grounding anchor for Lot's attention. Look closely at her face. Her head is turned, looking away to her left. Her eyes are wide and alert, and she wears a sharp, almost calculating half-smile. She is deeply focused, entirely awake, and ready to manage the encounter. Lot is completely surrendered to the moment, clutching the bowl of dark wine while his left arm drapes lazily over her shoulder. Every glance, every touch is meticulously designed to lower his defenses. But Goltzius leaves a trail of visual breadcrumbs in the shadows, revealing that the daughters are not the only ones watching the old man fall into ruin. Goltzius bathes the figures in a striking Baroque light, heavily reminiscent of Caravaggio's theatrical illumination, allowing the strong, masculine bodies of the girls, painted entirely according to the artistic taste of the period, to emerge forcefully from the dark background. And within that creeping darkness, inside the rocky cavern, a series of hidden symbols wait silently. Just behind the figures, moving from left to right, we find a fox. In the visual vocabulary of the era, the fox is a potent symbol of cunning. Its presence here refers to the age-old tradition of man falling as the victim to woman's wiles, an allegorical meaning deeply connected to the loss of virginity. Near the feet of the firstborn daughter sits a small dog. Ordinarily, a dog in a classical painting represents fidelity. However, Goltzius subverts this expectation, leaning on interpretations by art theorists of his day who viewed the dog as a representation of the good minister who watches over men's souls and punishes sin. The dog stares out, an unheeded warning that Lot should have remembered at his very first sip. Wine leads inevitably to a total loss of control over the passions. To the far left, perfectly balancing the composition, sits a beautifully rendered still life resting on a rough-hewn stone block, which cleverly bears Goltzius's carved monogram and the year, 1616. Draped over the stone's edge is a crisp, fringed white cloth. It acts as the base for a typical Harlem breakfast arrangement. A scalloped metal dish holding a thick wedge of hard cheese, accompanied by a torn chunk of crusty bread, green grapes, and a dark-handled knife resting precariously on the stone slab. Painted with a fidelity reminiscent of Floris van Schoten, this arrangement, alongside the cohesive, tight grouping of the three-seated figures, reveals a profound external influence on the artist, Peter Paul Rubens. The great Flemish master visited Leiden and Haarlem in June of 1612, and his specific approach to combining dramatic, muscular narratives with rich, naturalistic details heavily shaped Goltzius's late work. But if you look deep into the darkest corner of the rock face, you will find a detail that reveals the absolute, unvarnished truth of the story. Buried in the extreme left of the cavern, almost completely swallowed by the shadows, is a final, disturbing detail. You can make out two small, distant figures. Goltzius has painted a scene within a scene, projecting us forward in time to reveal the inevitable conclusion of the night. It is a shadowy depiction of the subsequent copulation taking place further back in the darkness. The inclusion of this blunt, explicit event proves exactly how much Goltzius remained a man of the 16th century, entirely unwilling to shy away from the darkest elements of human nature. Yet, perhaps the most astonishing secret of this masterpiece lies with the artist himself. Hendrick Goltzius didn't even touch a brush until he was 42 years old. Already a world-renowned engraver, he risked his entire hard-won legacy to master oils. His absolute obsession with the perfect human form, honed by studying the ancient ruins of Rome, is exactly why the strained abdomen of the old man and the flawless flesh of his daughters feel so unnervingly real today. But the true hypnotic power of this painting is the psychological trap it sets for the viewer. We are forced to sit and watch a man willingly drink his way into his own ruin. He is utterly blinded by the exquisite beauty before him, completely oblivious to the fact that his entire world is burning to ash just over his shoulder. If you'd like to bring this extraordinary collision of flawless anatomy and dark moral decay into your own home, a museum-quality reproduction is available at our store, Vuecrypte.com. You will find the link in the pinned comment below. I shall see you in the next one.